Okay, think about something like breathing. It's always there, right? We don't really notice it until, well, until it's not there.
Hmm. Vital but invisible sometimes.
Exactly. And today we're diving into something similar for our well-being, human connection. Specifically, the big impact of loneliness and why friendships are so important for our health.
Yeah, and we've got some really interesting sources lined up. We're drawing from the Mayo Clinic, looking at the real health benefits of having good friends, plus some practical tips on making and keeping them.
Right.
And then there's the campaign to end loneliness, which kind of zooms out to the bigger picture, the societal angle,
Yeah.
an article from Observer Point that really frames loneliness as this like hidden health issue.
A hidden health issue. I like that.
Yeah.
So our mission today isn't just to list facts. We want to really get into these sources, pull out the crucial bits about why loneliness and friendship matter so much physically and mentally, and importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Okay, let's start with the good news then. The Mayo Clinic stuff on the health benefits.
Yes, please. Let's do that.
Well, what's striking right away is how the Mayo Clinic shows these connections aren't just, nice to haves. They seem to directly affect our bodies.
How so?
They talk about how good friends don't just boost your mood, but that regular positive social stuff seems to calm down our stress response. It's almost like it prevents that long-term wear and tear stress
Like
causes.
a buffer, a biological buffer almost. And it's more than just mood, right? You mentioned self-confidence.
Exactly. The Mayo Clinic highlights that connection builds up your self-confidence, your sense of self-worth. It's like having, well, people in your corner who see you and value you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about when things get tough?
Ah, yes. That's crucial. When life throws those curveballs, you know, divorce, illness, losing a job, grief friends are like anchors. They provide that emotional support, sometimes practical help too, that really lightens the load.
And there's that interesting bit about habits too, isn't there? How friends can actually nudge us towards being healthier.
Right. It's like positive peer pressure. They might gently discourage, too much drinking or encourage you to get some exercise. It's subtle sometimes, but it adds up.
So it's not just about feeling good emotionally. There are real, measurable health outcomes linked to this.
Yeah, the data points that way. Mayo Clinic connects strong social ties to a lower risk of depression, for one. Also, high blood pressure and carrying unhealthy weight. It seems like these connections offer some real protection.
And longevity too. I think I saw that mentioned.
You did. Especially for older adults.
Yeah.
Those with close friends and good social support, they tend to live longer. It's a pretty strong argument for making time for people.
It really is. But let's be honest, the Mayo Clinic acknowledges this too. Making and keeping friends as an adult. It can be tough.
Oh, absolutely. Work, family, moving, just life. Gets complicated, doesn't it? Things change, people drift.
Totally. I think a lot of people listening probably feel that. You want those connections, but finding the time, the energy.
Yeah. But the point Mayo makes is that the benefits, the joy, the support, the actual health boosts, they really do make the effort worth it.
And it's not about numbers, is it? Not just collecting contacts.
No, definitely not. They stress quality over quantity. A few really close, meaningful friendships seem to be much more impactful than, hundreds of acquaintances. It's about depth.
Okay, so the why is clear. Friendships are vital. Let's get practical. The how. What does the Mayo Clinic suggest for actually, building these quality connections?
Well, a good place to start, they suggest, is looking around you. People you already know, maybe peripherally, former colleagues you liked, old classmates, people you met somewhere briefly.
Reconnecting, basically.
Exactly, reaching out to old friends, even family members you've drifted from. It can feel a bit awkward maybe, but often really rewarding.
That first step can feel big, though. Any tips for making it easier?
They suggest simple things. Ask a mutual friend for an introduction maybe, or just a low-key invitation, coffee, lunch. Nothing too intense to start.
Makes sense. And for meeting totally new people.
Go where the people are, or rather, where people with shared interests are. Community events, hobby clubs online, or local volunteering is a big one too. You immediately have something in common to talk about.
Right, common ground. And I like their point about just saying yes more often.
Yeah, giving and accepting invitations. It sounds basic, but it's about being open, participating, taking up a new interest, a class. That works too. You're all learning something new together.
What about just day-to-day stuff?
Simple things.
Yeah.
Joining a faith community, if that's relevant. Even just taking walks in your neighborhood and being open to chatting with people you see. And they acknowledge nerves, suggesting things like deep breaths if you feel anxious meeting people.
The key seems to be persistence and staying positive about it.
Pretty much. Not every chat leads to a lifelong friend, but putting yourself out there increases the chances.
Okay, what about the digital world? Social media comes up, obviously. How does the Mayo Clinic see its role?
Well, it can help. Online communities can definitely reduce loneliness, help you find people with niche interests, maintain long-distance friendships.
But there's a but, isn't there?
There is. Research suggests that online time doesn't always translate into bigger or closer offline circles. There's still something unique about face-to-face. And, the usual cautions apply about sharing personal info and meeting online folks in person. Use common sense.
Right. So, say we've made some connections or we want to strengthen existing ones. How do we nurture them? What makes a friendship work?
Mayo Clinic stresses it's a two-way street, give and take, mutual support. They use this great analogy friendship as an emotional bank account.
Oh, I like that. Explain.
Every time you're kind, you listen, you show up for someone that's a deposit, you build up goodwill, trust.
So, being a good listener is key.
Absolutely vital. Really hearing people, asking about their lives, validating their feelings, not always jumping in with advice unless they ask, just being present.
And sharing too, not just listening.
Yes, opening up yourself, sharing your own stuff, being vulnerable. That builds intimacy, shows you trust them. It has to go both ways.
Trustworthiness comes up too, naturally.
Of course. Being reliable, keeping things confidential, that's foundational. And just, making the effort, scheduling time, checking in between meetings, it shows you care.
It takes work, basically, like any relationship.
It does. But the message from Mayo is encouraging. It's never too late. You can always build new friendships or rekindle old ones.
Okay, that's a really helpful perspective from the Mayo Clinic. Now let's shift focus slightly to this Observer Point article. They use some strong language, silent pandemic.
Yeah, it's a stark framing, isn't it? They're arguing that loneliness is this huge pervasive issue hitting all age groups, but its health impact often goes unseen or underestimated.
Silent, yeah. And they're saying it affects both physical and mental health.
Profoundly, yes. They really emphasize that this isn't just feeling sad. It has tangible, detrimental effects on our bodies.
Like what specifically? What physical health issues are they linking it to?
Well, pretty serious ones. They point to a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes for people experiencing chronic loneliness or isolation,
Wow. Okay.
and also links to chronic inflammation, which is, that low-level damaging process involved in so many long-term illnesses.
Right, not like a sprained ankle inflammation, but something deeper.
Exactly. Plus, a potentially weakened immune system, making you more prone to getting sick, and negative effects on sleep quality, which can then create a whole vicious cycle, can't it?
It really can. Poor sleep affects everything. And the mental health side, what does Observer Point say there?
Equally significant, they identify loneliness as a major risk factor for depression, also strongly linked to anxiety disorders. These are common but serious conditions.
And cognitive health, too, especially later in life.
Yeah, that's a really concerning link they highlight. Loneliness potentially contributing to cognitive decline in older adults, and maybe even increasing the risk for dementia. It really drives home how crucial social connection is for brain health throughout life.
Okay, so given these pretty serious consequences, what does Observer Point suggest we do? How do we combat this?
Well, a lot of it echoes the Mayo Clinic advice, fundamentally. Building and maintaining social connections is paramount. Actively nurturing the relationships you have.
Getting involved in the community?
Yes. Engaging in activities, joining groups, volunteering, all that helps build your network and sense of belonging. They also mention using technology, like video calls, which can help bridge distances.
But with a caveat, I imagine.
Right. Balancing it with real in-person interaction is key. Technology is a tool, not a total replacement. And importantly, they also mention seeking professional help, like therapy. If loneliness feels overwhelming or persistent, it's okay to need support.
Absolutely. And this brings us to the societal angle, which both Observer Point and the Campaign to End Loneliness touch on, right? It's not just an individual problem.
Exactly. They argue society needs to be more aware. Communities need to actively foster connection and inclusion. We need to reduce the stigma around feeling lonely so people feel comfortable admitting it and seeking help.
Yeah, that stigma is a real barrier.
It is. The Campaign to End Loneliness really pushes for public health awareness, treating loneliness as a genuine health threat, especially for older people, but really for everyone.
So it's about creating a more connected society overall.
That's the goal. Supporting vulnerable groups, older adults, people with disabilities, marginalized communities who might be at higher risk of isolation. They argue it's a collective responsibility. A more connected society is healthier for everyone in it.
So, wrapping this all up, this deep dive, the takeaway feels really clear, doesn't it?
Incredibly clear. Strong social connections, tackling loneliness. These aren't optional extras. They are fundamental to our physical health and our mental well-being.
It's not just about feeling happy, it's about staying healthy, maybe even living longer.
Precisely. And we've covered a lot of ground on how to do that. From the Mayo Clinic's practical tips on reaching out, listening, being reliable.
To Observer Point's emphasis on community involvement and balancing tech with real-life interaction, there are concrete things people can try.
Absolutely. Small steps can make a big difference over time.
Which leads perfectly to a final thought for everyone listening. Thinking about everything we've discussed, the huge impact connection has on your health, your longevity. What's just one small thing, one tiny step you could take today? Maybe strengthen a bond you already have, or perhaps reach out to someone new.
Yeah, just one thing. Because investing in those relationships, nurturing those connections, it really is an investment in your own health, your own future.
Couldn't agree more. A powerful investment indeed.